Hey guys, tonight we're stepping through a creaky, narrow doorway off a soot-covered London alley. Gaslight flickers overhead. The air smells like stale beer, cheap perfume, and the faintest trace of candle wax melting low in its tin holder. You've arrived at a place where velvet drapes try and fail to disguise chipped woodwork and secrets soaked into every floorboard. This is a working brothel in Victorian England, and you're not just visiting. You're one of the women who lives and works here. The night hasn't even started, and already your corset's too tight. Your feet ache from polishing boots that aren't yours, and your stomach gnaws for something more than bread crusts and weak tea. You probably won't survive this, at least not for long. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know, where are you listening from tonight? And what time is it where you are? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're barely 16, maybe 17, depending on how much makeup they slap on you tonight. You've lied about your age. Everyone lies about something here. The madam says you look older when you don't speak, so you keep your mouth shut and try not to draw attention from the wrong kind of customer, which in truth is all of them. You're not here because you dreamed of this life. Nobody dreams of scrubbing out bloodstains in tin bathtubs or of wearing a smile that doesn't reach your eyes while men twice your age paw at your skirts. You're here because your choices ran out. Some girls get here from the country pretty fresh-faced and naive enough to believe a landlady's promise of respectable work. Others are London-born, the daughters of washerwomen or seamstresses who caught the wrong man's attention too young. You arrived with a carpet bag that wasn't even yours, wearing boots 2 sizes too big, and still soaked from the walk across Westminster Bridge. The madame looked you over like a horse for sale, lifted your chin, checked your teeth, pinched your backside, and then sent you straight upstairs to clean yourself up. That meant a bucket of cold water, a cracked mirror, and a warning, don't waste the good soap. The house you live in isn't grand. Forget the lavish bordellos from novels. This place was once a family's home, then a boarding house, and now something in between. 3 stories tall. The ground floor's for drinking and dealing. Upstairs is where the real work happens. Your room is barely wide enough for a single bed, a chipped washstand, and a peg on the wall where you hang your only dress. It's never quite quiet. Someone's always moaning, arguing, vomiting, or crying behind the paper-thin walls. But you get used to that. You learn to breathe shallowly, to sleep lightly, and to recognize footsteps by weight and speed. You dread the heavy ones that pause at your door. By morning, the house reeks of tobacco and sweat. You share a chamber pot with 2 other girls, and emptying it is your job this week. The bucket's wood is cracked, and the handle pinches your fingers, but the madam docked your pay the last time you spilled a drop, so you take the stairs slowly. Out back behind the kitchen, there's a narrow yard where the privy sits, mostly broken, always rank. The alley cats watch you with glowing eyes. They eat better than you do. Breakfast is bread if you're lucky, porridge if someone remembered to boil oats the night before. The madam doesn't eat with the girls. She takes her tea in the parlor, behind lace curtains, yellowed with thyme and tobacco. She reads the newspaper, circling advertisements for new girls needed. You glance once and see the same words that lured you here, clean, quiet girl, sought for light household duties. Good pay. Room and board included. You now know exactly what that means. Your day begins with chores. Every girl takes turns dusting, scrubbing, laundering, and sweeping. The front parlor must look inviting by sundown candles, fresh, the rug beaten, the clock wound just so. You tie a cloth around your mouth to keep out the worst of the soot, especially when you're blacking the fireplace. The brushes are old, the soap is harsh, and your knuckles stay red year-round. You still remember the first time a customer asked why your hands were so raw. You lied, of course, told him it was eczema. Once the chores are done, it's time for your appearance. That means curling your hair with hot irons heated over coals. They burn your scalp more often than not. Then rouge your cheeks, powder your nose line, your eyes with charcoal rubbed from burnt matches. Your dress has been worn by 3 other girls before you, but you sew it up with thread pilfered from the laundry room. No one will look too closely in the dark. By late afternoon, the boys from the brewery wander by, followed by the factory foreman and the occasional constable off duty. They loiter outside, whispering, laughing, spitting. Some come in, some don't. Either way, you have to smile through the window. That's part of the job. Sundown means business. The candles are lit. The cheap brandy is poured. Music starts off-key piano, usually played by a girl who used to be respectable before opium took her teeth. You wait in the parlor with the others, back straight, lashes lowered, hands folded in your lap. The madame assigns the men. Sometimes they choose. Sometimes she does. You learned quickly not to argue. One girl did last month, and she hasn't been seen since. Your first customer that night smells like gin and shoe polish. He's rough. You bite your lip and try to pretend you're somewhere else, your old village, a sunny field, even a silent church pew, anywhere but this dim upstairs room. The bed creaks. The candle sputters. The clock ticks so loudly you think you'll scream. But you don't. You finish, you dress, you clean the sheet, and you prepare to do it all again. Night's just begun, and already you're breaking. You don't cry anymore. Not because you've grown stronger, but because it takes more energy than you have to spare. Tears blur your makeup, and smudged mascara makes customers uncomfortable. The madam says a girl who cries is bad for business, so you learn to swallow the sting in your eyes, blink slow, and keep smiling. You don't even notice when someone pinches too hard or pulls your hair, not until you feel the bruises bloom hours later, like blue flowers across your skin. You're not alone in this house, but it rarely feels like company. The other girls drift around you like ghosts, each in her own haze of powder pain and fatigue. You try not to make enemies. There's no point. The same girl who glares at you over breakfast might press a cool cloth to your forehead after a bad customer. Alliances form in whispers, dissolve in silence. Everyone's in survival mode. No one trusts easily. Even friendship feels dangerous. What if she disappears? What if she takes your place, one girl? Nellie used to sing lullabies at night. Soft ones. Old folk songs from her mother. But the madam told her to stop. Too mournful, she said. Men don't want to hear about babies. Nellie doesn't sing anymore. Her voice still moves in her sleep, though. You hear it sometimes rustling between the mattress springs and the shifting shadows under the door. You've lost count of how many customers you see in a night. 3, if it's slow 6 or more, if the docks are busy or the city is flush with wages. Sailors are the worst, rough hands, salty breath, no idea how to be gentle. You never see them again, and that's the best part. They vanish with the tide taking their stench and secrets with them. Better than the regulars who grow possessive. One man left a ring under your pillow. Not for you, just something he wanted you to wear. You gave it to the madam who pawned it by morning. Your body doesn't feel like your own anymore. It's something you carry around like a tray of tea, balanced careful, always close to tipping. You hide the damage under corsets and powder. When the bleeding doesn't stop, you stuff rags between your legs and keep going. You fear the doctor more than the men. The brothel's surgeon, if you can call him that, smells of gin and iodine, and his instruments never look clean. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't give answers either. You're just another object to him, like a cracked teacup or a bent candlestick. Patch it up. Send it back to work. Sometimes you hear whispers about disease. The French pox, they say. The itch. The rotting. Girls vanish after those words spread. Sometimes they come back thinner, quieter, with sores hidden under lace collars. Sometimes they don't come back at all. In the back corner of the cellar, there's a locked cabinet. You saw inside once, just for a second, when the madam opened it to fetch something wrapped in cloth. There were bottles, tiny ones, with paper labels, laudanum, chloroform, pennyroyal. You recognized the word arsenic. The girls say it's for the madam's headaches. You suspect otherwise. One girl swore she took something from that cabinet to get rid of a situation. You didn't ask what she meant. You already knew. At night, the house breathes differently. Doors creak open, then slam shut. You hear the floorboards groan under the weight of someone too drunk to walk straight. Lamps flicker out. Your candle burns low. You count the drips of wax as they fall to the cracked saucer below. That's how you tell time now, not by clocks, but by flame and shadow. You haven't seen daylight in days. You forgot how morning smells. The curtains stay drawn and your skin takes on a waxy sheen from lack of sun and poor food. Even the mirror doesn't recognize you. Once you saw a girl run her fingers along her cheek, as if trying to remember who she used to be before the rouge and the rot set in. Every now and then a policeman comes. Not to arrest anyone, he's a friend of the madam. He drinks her tea, pats her arm, and accepts his payment in the form of whichever girl she sends upstairs. It's part of the arrangement. No one talks about it. You just offer a weak smile and hope he doesn't smell the fear in your skin. The customers come in waves like rats in flood season. Some are polite, gentle even, but those are rare. Most just want what they've paid for. Some want more than that. You learn to read the room fast. Look at their boots, their hands, the way they hold their hat. The clean ones might be cruel. The dirty ones might cry. You never know. You never ask names. The madam keeps track of earnings with a notebook she locks in a drawer. Every service is tallied. Every tip is noted. You're lucky if you see more than a coin or two a week. Most of it goes to expenses, laundry, meals, room clothing. You laugh once bitterly at the idea of being charged for a room you share with mice and mold. But you don't say it out loud. The last girl who complained had her front tooth knocked loose. She left soon after holding a handkerchief to her mouth. And yet sometimes, just sometimes, you let yourself dream. Maybe of escaping. Maybe of saving enough to get out, move far away, find work where men don't touch you unless you choose. But dreams here are slippery. They dissolve in the bathwater, melt in the candle wax, curl up with the smoke from your single ration of tobacco. One night a girl does leave. No warning. Just gone. Her things still hang on the peg, her shoes still under the bed. The madam says nothing. No one asks. You look at the empty space on the floor and wonder, did she run, was she taken, or is she in the cellar now, in one of the trunks you're told never to open? You go to bed that night with her absence pressing against the walls. The mattress groans under your weight. You curl into yourself, knees drawn up, hands clutching the hem of your shift. The candle burns down to nothing. The room is dark. The house groans. Outside, the city doesn't sleep, but you try to. You must. Morning comes fast, and it never brings relief, because tomorrow the door will creak open again, and someone else will walk in. Morning doesn't feel like morning anymore. There's no golden sunlight pouring in through the windows, just a weak gray haze that slips around the curtain edges and lands like dust on the worn floorboards. You wake not because you're rested, but because your back aches and your ribs are sore from sleeping, curled in the same position too long. Your hair is tangled. Your throat is dry. There's a sour taste in your mouth that no amount of rinsing can wash away. Breakfast is late today. The kitchen girl overslept and now the porridge is half burned. You eat it anyway. Your stomach doesn't care. Nellie scrapes the bottom of the pot and makes a joke about ash being good for digestion. You laugh, sort of. Your lips crack when you smile. The madam walks in and everyone falls silent. She doesn't speak, but you can feel her eyes move from girl to girl, calculating. You wonder who she'll choose to run errands today. You hope it's not you. It is. You're sent to the apothecary with a folded note and strict instructions: no loitering, no talking, don't look suspicious. It's cold outside. You wrap yourself in a second-hand shawl and step into the street. The city greets you like an old dog, grimy wet, and never quite friendly. Horse dung slicks the cobbles. Smoke hangs low in the air. Men shout from doorways. You keep your eyes down and your pace steady. The apothecary is dim and smells of camphor vinegar and herbs long past their prime. The shopkeeper doesn't look at you directly. He takes the note nods and disappears into the back. You pretend to browse fingers grazing dusty glass bottles labeled in Latin and smudged ink. He returns with a wrapped parcel. You don't ask what's inside. You never do. Back at the house, the madam takes the package without thanks. She slips it into her locked cabinet. You return to your chores without a word. There's always something to scrub, some new stain to lift. Blood, mostly. Or worse. This afternoon, you're assigned laundry. Down in the cellar with its low ceiling and damp stone walls, you kneel beside the washtub. The water's cold and turns pink quickly. You wring out petticoats and chemises with raw fingers. The soap burns your hangnails. The smell is a mix of lye and mildew. You hum softly to keep your mind occupied, not a lullaby this time, but something rhythmical and meaningless. You find a locket sewn into the hem of a shift. Its small brass worn thin from handling. Inside is a faded portrait, 2 children, maybe siblings. You don't recognize the shift and you don't ask. You place the locket on the sill and keep washing. Someone else will claim it. Or they won't. Upstairs, someone's fighting. Raised voices, the slam of a door. One of the girls, Mary, you think, shouting about a customer who won't pay. Again. It happens often. Men arrive drunk and leave belligerent. The madam usually steps in, but today she lets the shouting play out. Eventually, Mary storms down the stairs, tears streaking her painted face, fists clenched. She disappears into the back garden. You don't follow. Instead, you press your forehead to the cool window glass. Outside, boys are selling newspapers on the corner. One headline screams about another fire in the East End. 10 dead in boarding house blaze. You wonder if it was a place like this. Probably. A lot of these houses go up in flames. A tipped candle, a careless smoker, sometimes on purpose. The sun slips lower. The lamps are lit. Time to get ready. You share a cracked mirror with Nellie and 2 others. Each of you takes a corner. Powder rouge combs with missing teeth. The air smells like beeswax and desperation. You borrow a ribbon. It's frayed, but better than nothing. You pin it in your hair and hope it draws the eye away from the bruise on your jaw. Tonight's customers are varied. A portly man with tobacco-stained fingers. A wiry clerk who asks too many questions. A boy no older than yourself, trembling, as if this is all a mistake. You try to be kind to that one. You wish someone had been kind to you. Between appointments, you wait in the parlor. You sit still, trying not to sweat through your bodice. The madam reads her paper again, glasses perched low on her nose. She chuckles once quietly. You don't ask why. A cat dozes near the hearth, curled like a comma on a threadbare cushion. You stroke its back with one hand, grateful for the soft warmth. Later, you're summoned upstairs again. You know the room by the way it smells clove oil and stale cologne. The man waiting is clean-shaven and well-dressed. He smiles too much. You know the type. They think paying gives them permission to be gentle and cruel at the same time. Like it's a performance for them. You play your part. You wait for it to be over. It always ends. That's the only comfort. Back in your room, you strip in silence. The bodice sticks to your skin. You drop it over the chair, then sit on the edge of the bed. Your feet throb. Your hips are sore. You light a candle and dip your fingers in a chipped bowl of rose water. The scent is faint but familiar. You dab your wrists and behind your ears. It doesn't help, but it feels like a ritual. Something yours. You tuck your legs under the thin blanket and stare at the ceiling. Someone is sobbing 2 rooms over. A door creaks open. You hear footsteps. Not toward you. You exhale. Sleep doesn't come easily. Your brain replays everything: the man's breath on your neck, the slap of boots on the stairs, the apothecary's hollow eyes. You try to think of other things: fields, rivers, warm bread, your mother's singing voice. But those memories are distant, dim, like lanterns through fog. You don't know if they're even real anymore. Eventually, you drift. And tomorrow will come again, gray and cold, with too much to do, and no time to mourn what's been lost. When you wake, your limbs feel like they're filled with sand. You've barely slept, but rest is no longer measured in hours. It's measured in whether or not you remember your dreams. Last night you didn't. That's a kind of mercy. The first thing you do is check your feet. You've developed blisters from standing too long in ill-fitting boots, and one is broken open. You wrap a strip of linen around it, winding it tight. You can't limp, not tonight. Limping means fewer customers. Fewer customers means less tolerance from the madam. You tuck the pain away. Downstairs, the fire hasn't been lit yet. The hearth is cold. The air bites your skin as you fill the kettle. You're one of the first girls up, so you stoke the coals and feed them kindling from the scuttle. It catches slowly. You watch the smoke curl upward before you leave the kitchen and climb back to the second floor. The hallway reeks of wax sweat and old perfume. You're used to it now. It's the scent of survival. You stop by Nellie's room and knock softly. She's still asleep, tangled in her sheets, mouth slightly open. You almost envy her. Then you notice the bruises on her collarbone, and your envy disappears. After a cold rinse and a quick brushing of hair, you reapply the mask. White powder to hide the sickly hue of your skin, rouge to feign vitality, a pinch of soot rubbed along the lashes. When your lips crack, you dab them with grease or whatever fat can be scavenged from the kitchen. You've forgotten what real lipstick feels like. Everything you use is improvised, now repurposed, reimagined, just like you. Mid-morning means chores again. You're assigned to sweeping and tidying the receiving room. The carpet is fraying at the edges. The floral wallpaper peels in long curls, revealing the yellowed plaster beneath. You straighten the cushions and wipe down the side table. There's a faint blood stain under the rug that never quite lifted. You try not to stare at it for long. A courier arrives with a parcel for the madam. He doesn't speak to the girls, just hands it over and walks away. You wonder what's in it. New hair pieces, maybe. Letters. Or something from that locked cabinet again. No one asks. You've all learned not to. The madam appears mid-morning. She's wearing her better gown today, burgundy with a satin trim. That means an important visitor is expected. Possibly one of the investors. That's what she calls them. Wealthy men who don't pay like the others. They visit to check on their interests, not their pleasures. They want to see clean girls, well-pressed sheets, smiling faces. You all know how to play your parts. You're puppets on strings too thin to see. The madam makes a show of inspecting the house. She frowns at the fireplace, at a missing button on Nellie's dress, at a crooked candlestick. You fix it all quickly. You don't want her attention to linger. Her displeasure is quiet but sharp, and it always finds a way to cut. Just before noon, she gathers the girls for a talk. Not in the parlor, but upstairs in the narrow hallway near the window that never opens. Her voice is low. She says the city inspectors are sniffing around. A clergyman has started asking questions about fallen women and moral reform. That usually means a raid, or worse, press. You all listen in silence. She tells you to be careful to avoid drawing attention on the streets. No limping, she says, eyes on you. No tears, no trouble. After she leaves, you whisper about it with the others. Some laugh it off, others look worried. Mary mutters something about the last time a reformer came through. Half the girls were taken in by a charity home, but most of them ran away within a week. It's not the salvation people think it is. It just changes your chains. You go to the back garden and stand under the skeletal tree. The sky above is pale and blank like washed-out linen. You let the wind tug at your sleeves. For a moment, you imagine walking, just walking, until your feet give out. You picture fields and trees and rivers. Then the door creaks behind you and the fantasy slips away. By the time evening settles in, your muscles are tight with tension. You tie your stays tighter than usual and smooth the bodice of your dress, the one with the lace collar that hides bruises. There's no music tonight. The piano girl is sick. You hear her coughing in her room. A wet, rattling sound. You know that cough. You've heard it before, and the outcome is always the same. Customers begin to arrive. The usual mix. Some new faces. A man with a stammer who keeps touching his pocket watch. A butcher with blood on his cuffs. A gentleman with gold buttons and no smile. They speak in hushed tones. They laugh too loudly. They drink too fast. You serve drinks, escort guests, manage smiles. The madam calls you over and introduces you to someone new, a man with a thick accent and a heavy coat. He doesn't speak much, just nods. You take him upstairs, and the door closes behind you. What follows is unpleasant, but not unusual. He wants silence. He wants control. You give him both. You leave the room with your hair undone and your mind elsewhere. Later in your tiny room, you find a half-coin under your pillow. The man's calling card. Not a tip, not exactly. A message he'll return. You tuck it into your shoe. You'll decide what to do with it later. Tonight you can't sleep. Your legs twitch with exhaustion. Your fingers ache from gripping too hard. Your mind won't still. So you light a stub of candle and stare at the flame. You hold a scrap of paper you tore from an old almanac. You can't read it anymore. It's smudged and faded, but you pretend it's a letter from someone who once loved you. You trace the lines with your finger and whisper nonsense as if reading it aloud. Outside, the wind picks up. The shutters rattle. The house exhales its groans and secrets, and you sit very still, hoping this night passes quietly, because tomorrow is never far away. The next morning, there's blood in your shift. You wash it out quickly in the cracked basin before the other girls see. It's not the kind of blood that comes and goes once a month. That stopped a while ago. This is different. Darker. Heavier. You press a damp cloth between your legs and dress, slowly trying not to wince. You'll tell no one. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What could they do? Downstairs, the madam's voice floats through the hallway. She's laughing too brightly. You know that sound. It's for someone important. You follow the noise and find her with a man in a neat bowler hat scribbling in a notebook. His eyes sweep the room like a census taker or a tax clerk. He doesn't look at you directly, just writes. Something nods once and leaves. No one explains who he was. But the madam looks nervous afterward. That's rare. You're sent to the attic to help the laundry girl. It's sweltering up there, even in winter, the roof sloping low over your head, the air thick with steam. You spend the morning feeding sheets and slips through the mangle, careful not to catch your fingers. The rollers are unforgiving. The girl working next to you is new. Her name might be Elsie or Annie, you can't remember. She says nothing, eyes cast down. You wonder how long she'll last. When you finally return to your room, your shift is soaked through again. You sit on the edge of the bed, cold and damp, trying to breathe. You count the cracks in the ceiling. 15. Same as yesterday. Your thoughts drift toward the madam's cabinet. You've never dared ask for anything from it. But now the idea clings to you. Nellie brings you tea barely warm, weak as dishwater. You thank her anyway. She watches you for a moment, head tilted. Then she says, "You're walking funny." You shake your head, tell her it's the boots. She doesn't believe you, but she doesn't press. You're grateful for that. That evening, the madam pulls you aside before the customers arrive. She tells you a new man has requested your company, specifically you. That always makes your stomach turn. Someone remembering you means they had a good time, which usually means you didn't. He arrives late, smells like cloves and ink, carries himself like a man used to being obeyed. You pretend not to recognize him, but you do. He's come before. He brings sweets sometimes wrapped in paper. You never eat them. The first time he tried to feed one to you, pressed it to your lips with sticky fingers. You swallowed it whole just to make him stop. Tonight, he wants something different. He wants to talk first. He asks your name, not your real one, the name the madam gave you. He repeats it softly like a prayer or a joke. Then he talks about his wife, says she's cold, distant. He wants warmth, laughter. You nod, play along. Smile when he expects it, tilt your head just so. He touches your cheek and you flinch. Just a little. He notices. He doesn't like that. When he leaves, your ribs ache from where he squeezed too hard. There's a fresh bruise on your arm, shaped like his hand. You wash yourself twice, then a third time for good measure. The water is cold and smells of iron. You scrub until your skin burns, but it doesn't help. The feeling lingers. Back in your room, you light the candle stub again. It's burned low. You only have 2 left. You'll need to ration them carefully. The dark doesn't scare you anymore, but it does hide things. Sounds are sharper in the dark. Shapes shift. You once mistook your own coat for a shadowed figure and screamed. The madam docked your pay for the noise. That night, Nellie doesn't come back to her room. No one says anything. Her bed is made. Her shoes still sit neatly by the door. You go downstairs and find the madam sipping brandy, eyes fixed on the fireplace. You ask quietly where Nellie's gone. She doesn't look at you. Just says she was unwell. And then more softly, she's at peace now. You go back upstairs and sit on Nellie's bed. You pick up her comb, the one with the missing tooth, and turn it over in your hands. The candle flickers. The wind moans through the rafters. You place the comb under your own pillow. Not for keeps, just for comfort. Later that week, the attic girl, the new one, the one who said nothing, runs away. She slips out before dawn, barefoot, dress tucked under her arm. You spot her from the window, dashing through the mist like a fox. No one goes after her. The madam pretends not to notice. It's better than the alternative. At least she chose to run. You hope she makes it. But in your heart, you doubt she will. The city isn't kind to girls like her, or you, or anyone who's learned to hide pain behind powder and smiles. You wonder how long before another girl takes her place. Probably tomorrow. There's always another girl, and the house always needs more hands. You stop marking the days. There's no calendar in the house, and asking for one would raise eyebrows. Time isn't measured in dates anymore. It's measured in faces, in bruises, in the burn of absinthe across your tongue and the scratch of your bodice seams against sore skin. You think it might be winter now. You've noticed your breath in the hallway. You've noticed your fingertips cracking from the cold. There are rumors of snow, but you don't see it. The curtains stay drawn. The girls mention frost on the window panes, cold coming through the floorboards, joints aching more than usual. One girl burns old hair clippings in the grate just to keep the chill away. The house smells faintly of singed keratin and lavender water, and you shiver under every layer. You take to wearing stockings in bed, even though they're riddled with holes. You tuck your hands under your knees as you sleep. When sleep comes, which it doesn't always. The dreams have returned, but they aren't really dreams, they're fragments. A scream, a slammed door, the echo of your own voice whispering. You start to hear things in the pipes. It's not uncommon. The house groans constantly, timber shifting water, wheezing through ancient copper lines. But now it sounds like whispers, murmurs, the same phrase over and over, though you can't quite catch the words. The girls say it's just the wind. You nod. You pretend to believe them. Sometimes the whispers follow you into waking. You see ghosts, too. Not clearly. Just flashes a girl sitting at the end of a bed, head bowed. A figure in the hallway who turns the corner before you can speak. You're not afraid of them. Not really. They feel familiar, like echoes of what you might become. On Mondays, the laundryman comes. He doesn't look at you either, just grunts and carries away baskets full of soiled sheets and ruined chemises. The laundry comes back stiff with lye, smelling faintly of bleach and coal smoke. You sometimes wonder what he sees, what he thinks of this place of you. But he never says anything, and neither do you. You find another locket hidden in the seams of a petticoat. Not the same as before. This one is newer, brighter. You hesitate before handing it over. The madam takes it without thanks, just like last time. She has a drawer full of forgotten things, ribbons, trinkets, pressed flowers, photographs. Small tokens left behind by girls who no longer need them. You don't know if she keeps them for sentiment or accounting. One afternoon, a new girl arrives. The madam tells you to help her settle in. Her name is Clara. She can't be more than 14. Her eyes are too wide and her lips tremble when she speaks. You help her wash, find her something that fits. She flinches when you brush her hair. You say nothing, but you wrap a shawl around her shoulders and sit beside her until the trembling stops. She asks what it's like upstairs. You lie. You say it isn't so bad, that the men are manageable, that the house is safe. You don't say the truth that she will bleed, that she will scream silently into pillows, that she will one day forget how it feels to be touched with kindness. But maybe she knows that already. That night, Clara is chosen. You hear her through the wall. You press your hands to your ears. You bite your lip. You cry silently without tears. When it's over, she doesn't return to her room. She spends the night in the kitchen, curled on the hearthrug, staring at the embers. You step around her in the morning and don't say a word. You're not the only one breaking. The piano girl Martha collapses during dinner. One moment she's drinking broth, the next her head hits the table. The bowl shatters. Hot liquid splashes her lap. The madam rushes in, shouting for help. You help carry her upstairs. Her skin is pale lips tinged with blue. She whispers something you don't catch. The house doctor is summoned. He arrives 2 hours later, reeking of port. He checks her pulse, mutters about opium, says it's a wasting illness. He leaves her with a tincture and no instructions. You sit by her bedside that night, wiping sweat from her brow. She doesn't wake. She just mutters. The same word again and again, sorry. The next morning she's gone. They take her away in a cart covered with a canvas sheet. No funeral, no prayers, just silence. The piano stands empty that night. No music, only the sound of glass breaking somewhere near the front door and the laughter of a man who's had too much gin. The madam replaces Martha within days. The new girl is older with a harsh voice and eyes that see through everything. She doesn't speak much, but she plays well, waltzes mostly. You hate them. The melodies are too sweet, too clean for this place. They make the shadows seem heavier by contrast. One night a fight breaks out in the parlor. Two men argue over a girl, Clara. She stands between them shaking. One lunges. A bottle crashes. The madam intervenes with surprising strength, wielding a cane she keeps behind the bar. The men are thrown out. Clara is sent to her room, and the rest of you are told to clean the mess. You mop blood off the floor while the waltz continues in the background. You don't speak. None of you do. Just the scrape of wood and the swish of a wet rag on the boards. Later, alone in your room, you stare at the wall. Your candle burns low. You wonder if your body has started to disappear, if you've become less than solid. You touch your arm just to feel the weight of it. Still there. Still yours, technically, but only just. In this house, you learn to live in pieces, and tonight you give away another part. You start seeing the doctor more often, not because you trust him. No one does. But because the bleeding hasn't stopped, and the ache in your abdomen has grown sharper, heavier, like something's rotting from the inside out. You try to ignore it at first. You chew mint leaves to cover the smell of sickness you wear, darker shifts. You walk slower to disguise the limp. But the madam notices. She knocks on your door one morning and hands you a note folded neatly, your name written in careful cursive. She tells you to be ready by midday. The carriage will take you to the surgery. You don't ask questions. You bathe as best you can, comb your hair, button your dress to the collar. You tie your boots tight enough to hide the tremble in your legs. The ride through the city is quiet. London blurs past in shades of gray and brown. The fog creeps low across the streets, swallowing the lamplight. You stare at your own reflection in the glass and barely recognize the girl looking back. The doctor's office is cold and smells of carbolic and metal. The assistant, a boy not much older than yourself, leads you to a back room. He doesn't meet your eyes. The doctor greets you without smiling. He's a tall man, thin as a fence post, with a beard that looks like it's trying to leave his face. He asks no questions, just gestures for you to lie back and lift your skirts. You do as you're told. His hands are cold, his tools colder. He says words like infection and complication, but doesn't explain. He prescribes powders and poultices, something to slow the bleeding. He says, avoid excitement, as if your life allows for stillness, as if you can refuse the next man who climbs into your bed. The ride back is worse. Every bump sends pain ricocheting through your bones. You close your eyes and count your breaths. 1, 2, 3. Just until the house reappears. When you return, the madam doesn't ask what he said. She just takes the paper packet of medicine from your hand and tells you to get dressed. We're short tonight, she says, and you're still earning. So you smile. You dress. You powder your cheeks. You bite the inside of your mouth until it bleeds just to keep from crying. That night, you see 5 customers. One of them smells like almonds. One doesn't speak at all. One falls asleep halfway through and drools on your shoulder. You wipe it off with the sheet and keep going. You learn to become invisible, a vessel, a function. You nod when spoken, to laugh when cued, gasp when required. It's all theater. You are costume and stage and curtain. When they finish, they dress and leave without looking back. You dream of clocks now, ticking endlessly, always ticking. No hands, no numbers, just the sound. Constant and slow. Sometimes you wake with it in your ears, your pulse matching its rhythm. You think maybe it's your own body counting down. One night Clara doesn't come downstairs. The madam sends you to her room. You knock, no answer. You push the door open and find her on the floor, curled up, arms wrapped around her knees. She's shaking. You kneel beside her, touch her shoulder. She flinches, but doesn't pull away. You ask what's wrong. She whispers he wouldn't stop. Her voice is paper thin, barely audible. You help her into bed. You sit with her until her breathing evens out. You don't speak. There's nothing to say that can undo what's been done. But you leave a bit of rose water on the table beside her. A small kindness. Something that smells like something softer. The next day she gets up like nothing happened. You recognize the look in her eyes. It's the same one you wore your first week, hollow floating, not quite here. She's learning how to disassociate, to fracture herself into manageable pieces. It's survival. You don't stop her. Instead, you show her how to stitch torn lace. You help her braid her hair in a way that hides the marks on her neck. You lend her a brooch you found in the laundry last week. It's chipped and missing a stone, but it sparkles in the candlelight. That's enough. The madam seems pleased with you. She calls you dependable, which is her way of saying you're useful. She offers you stronger powder, something from the locked cabinet. You take it. It numbs, the pain slows your thoughts, softens the corners of everything. You use it sparingly. You can't afford to be too dull. Not yet. You see Martha's replacement whispering to one of the customers. They laugh together. She has a way of smiling without showing teeth. You wonder if she's planning something. An escape, maybe. Or an alliance. You watch from the stairs, your hands gripping the banister tight enough to turn your knuckles white. Later, you find a message scratched into the wood under your mattress. Just one word, soon. You stare at it for a long time. Then you cover it with your pillow and say nothing. That night, a man leaves a gold coin in your palm. Real gold. Heavy and warm. You stare at it in the dark, turning it over between your fingers. It's more than you've seen in months. You hide it in your shoe. Not because you plan to spend it, but because maybe, just maybe, it means you're 1 inch closer to something beyond these walls. You start to count your coins, not just the gold one tucked carefully into the heel of your boot, but the others, coppers and silvers, hidden in seams under floorboards inside the lining of your coat. You count them slowly, silently, when no one else is near. You never write the totals down. That would be dangerous. Instead, you carry the numbers in your head like a secret melody only you know. You don't know what you're saving for. A train ticket, a boarding house room, a butcher's apron and the chance to chop meat instead of selling your body. Anything that means fewer hands on your skin and more hours to yourself. You hear whispers of other girls who've made it out. Not many, but some. A name passed quietly over teacups. A rumor in the laundry room. Most are lies. But still, you listen. The pain comes and goes now. You know the signs. The sharp twist low in your belly. The warm trickle down your thigh when you move too quickly. You've stopped asking for help. The doctor's powders only blur the pain and make you slow. Slowness gets noticed. Noticed girls get replaced. You pad your skirts with linen scraps stolen from the mending pile. You stitch in silence, the needle trembling slightly in your fingers. You've become good at hiding the evidence, folding it into corners, pressing it into the coals. You leave no trace. One morning you find Clara scrubbing the hall floor. Her hands are red knuckles raw. The water's already gone cold. She's humming tuneless and flat, her eyes empty. You kneel beside her and take the brush from her fingers. She doesn't resist. She just sits back and watches as you finish the job. Later, she slips a crust of bread under your door. You eat it gratefully. It's stale but real, and maybe that's her way of thanking you. The madam starts watching you more closely. She notices the way you move slower now, how you linger near the windows, how you speak less but listen more. You catch her glancing at your boots when you walk. She's measuring something, weighing possibilities. You've seen it before on the eve of every girl who vanishes. You keep smiling, keep working, keep counting. One night a man arrives asking for Clara. He's tall, fine coat, soft hands. He claims to be her uncle, says he's come to rescue her from ruin. The madam lets him in, of course. She sits him in the parlor, offers him tea. You watch from the corner, silent. Clara is called down, hair-brushed, face powdered, made to look presentable. When she sees him, her face crumples. She doesn't cry, but her knees buckle slightly. She says nothing. He says, "Come home." Just that. No apology. No explanation. Just an order. She doesn't move. You want to scream at her to go, even if he's lying. Even if it's worse. Even if it means being a servant in a house where no one touches her. But she just stares, as if she's forgotten how to walk. Eventually, the madam leans in and whispers something to her. That breaks the spell. Clara goes upstairs. She returns with her bundle of things tied in a faded scarf. She doesn't look at anyone as she leaves. The man takes her by the arm. They disappear into the night. You never see her again. That evening, you find her comb still tucked under her pillow. The teeth are broken, the handle cracked. You take it and add it to your own collection of things left behind. Not because you're sentimental, but because the silence they leave behind is louder than their presence ever was. The new girl arrives the next day. Her name is Dot. She's loud, brash, pretends she's not scared. She asks too many questions. She's given Clara's bed, Clara's dresses, Clara's turn in the laundry schedule. You avoid her, not because you don't like her, because you already know how it ends. That night, the customers are rowdy. There's a group of them drunk and shouting sloshing brandy onto the rug. They grab the girls, too rough, laugh too loud. The madam watches with narrowed eyes but does nothing. They're good for business. They pay in coin and don't linger. You're sent upstairs with one of them. He's young, barely older than you, but full of swagger. He slaps your backside as you close the door, and your face burns with shame and rage. You don't let it show. You do what you must. When it's over, he flips a coin toward you and leaves without lacing his boots. You don't pick up the coin. You leave it there, gleaming on the floor like something cursed. You walk downstairs and find the parlor empty. The music's stopped. The piano girl is weeping quietly in the corner, mascara running down her cheeks. One of the other girls is being sick in the ash bucket. You pour her water. You wipe her mouth. She doesn't thank you. You don't expect her to. In your room, you undress in the dark. You sit at the edge of your bed and count your coins again, feeling their weight in your palm. You think about trains, about boats, about the places listed in newspaper adverts, Leeds, Brighton, even America. You don't cry, but you do start planning. And tonight, for the first time in weeks, you don't dream about the house. You dream about a road, a long one, empty and quiet. Your plan begins in whispers, not aloud, never that. Just a pattern of thoughts you revisit over and over, shaping them like a dress hem, folding them smooth. First, the money. You think you have enough to leave barely. Then the route. There's a train station just past the tannery through the rows of tenements. You'd need to get there before dawn, before the city stirs and asks questions, before the madam finds your bed cold. You keep your voice soft, your face softer. No one can know. But you start watching the front door more closely. You listen to the sounds the lock makes when it clicks shut. You memorize the way the key turns in the madam's hand. You learn the timing of the milkman, of the butcher's boy, of the laundry cart. You measure the rhythm of the house as if it's a song, and you wait for the note that sounds like escape. Until then, life continues, each day folding into the next. Dot finds your stash of newspaper clippings. You'd torn them out slowly, one at a time, from pages left behind by customers, small ads for employment listings, for factory work notices of steamships needing cooks or companions. You'd tucked them between the boards under your bed along with your saved coins. Dot doesn't mean to snoop. She's just sweeping. But her broom catches the corner of one. She unfolds it, scans the words, and frowns. You freeze. She doesn't speak for a moment. Then she meets your eyes and says, "Brighton's nice this time of year." That's all. She returns the paper to its place. From then on, you don't avoid her anymore. She brings you bread from the kitchen when your stomach cramps too hard to stand. You help mend her stockings when the heels split. Neither of you names this as friendship. It's something else, something quieter. You've stopped seeing the doctor. The bleeding has slowed mostly, or maybe you've just gotten used to it. The ache is always there now, like background music. You dose yourself with what little powder you have left. When the pain flares, you press your hands to your stomach and breathe through your teeth. You've started hiding things in plain sight. A ribbon sewn into the hem of your shift, lined with coins. A folded handkerchief inside your boot holding your name written in ink, your real name. Not the one the madam gave you, the one your mother used to call you. It feels strange now seeing it written out, but comforting too. Like proof that you existed before this house. The madam grows restless. There are fewer customers lately. More whispers of police. Someone in the neighborhood is talking, maybe a reformer, maybe a jealous rival brothel. The madam patrols the hallways more now, keys jangling at her waist like a prison matron. Her perfume has turned sharper. She watches you with narrowed eyes. You smile sweetly and curtsy when she passes. You spend your days in small rituals, mending, cleaning, walking the length of the third-floor hallway and back. You polish your boots twice. Not because you care what the men think, but because you want them to be ready. You write nothing down. Everything must stay inside your head. One night a man arrives wearing a soldier's coat. He reeks of sweat and tobacco. He's loud, full of boasts and laughter. He wants Dot. She's chosen. You see her face as the madam nods toward her. There's a flash of fear there, but it vanishes fast. She squares her shoulders and goes. You wait by the hearth, listening. The laughter turns to shouts. A crash, wood splintering. The madam rushes up the stairs. You follow. She pushes open the door. Dot is bleeding from the lip. The man is drunk, waving his arms, shouting that she scratched him like a cat. The madam offers a refund. He throws the coin at her and storms out. Dot sits on the bed, silent face pale. You clean her lip with warm water and press a cloth against the bruise blooming on her cheek. She doesn't speak, but her hand reaches for yours and holds it. That night the house is quiet. Too quiet. You can feel something shifting. The next morning there's word of a raid. The police are cracking down. 2 brothels closed the night before. Girls taken in, some beaten, some vanished. You overhear the madam cursing behind her door, her voice sharp and vicious. That afternoon, she gathers you all in the parlor. She says things are changing. She says if anyone speaks to strangers, they'll be dealt with. She doesn't say what that means. She doesn't need to. After the meeting, Dot finds you in the laundry. She pulls a strip of fabric from her pocket. It's from her old dress. Inside it is a coin. Gold. The same size as the one in your boot. She presses it into your hand. For the train, she says. In case you go first. You don't say thank you. You just nod. Because now there's no more maybe. You're going. Soon. The days grow shorter, darker. London folds into itself like wet parchment, all slush and soot. Gas lamps blur in the fog. Boots squelch in the alleyway. You wake to damp air and go to sleep with damp hair. Everything is cold, even the fire seems half-hearted, sputtering in the grate, like it's too tired to burn properly. You start packing in secret. Not much. You can't carry much. A spare shift. Your hidden coins, the handkerchief with your name on it. Clara's broken comb. You wrap them in a scarf and hide them in the back of the wardrobe behind a stack of laundered linens no one ever uses. You press it flat. You check it daily. You've studied the timing. The bakery boy comes just before dawn to deliver stale bread from the back alley. The door is propped open with a coal bucket for 10, maybe 12 seconds. Enough to slip through. You've measured it. You've rehearsed it. Dot knows. You haven't said the words, but she knows. She sharpens her eyes at you every time the madam enters the room. She brushes your shoulder with hers, in passing a silent promise, not yet, but soon. The house feels tighter lately, like the walls are shrinking. The girls are quieter. The madam is louder. She drinks more in the evenings, her eyes glassy as she leans in too close, breath sharp with gin. She started locking the cellar, the cabinet, even the sugar tin. Trust is thinning. You walk the halls at night, soft steps, listening to the woods sigh under your feet. You press your ear to the parlor door and hear nothing but ticking. The old clock on the mantel has started to run fast. Time seems eager to be done with this place. You receive a visitor with a familiar face. He's been here before. Pale, precise, all gloves and gold teeth. He remembers your name, asks if you still hum when you're nervous. You don't reply. You lead him upstairs, hands steady, eyes dry. After he says, "You're quieter now." You say, "So are you." He doesn't smile, just tosses a coin on the bed and walks away. You keep that coin, not for its value, but as a weight proof you endured him one last time. Dot has begun writing something. You catch glimpses of folded paper in her apron smudged with ink. She won't let you see it, but she keeps tucking it under her mattress and smoothing it out again. One evening she reads aloud a few words. You don't own what survives you. You ask if it's a poem. She shrugs. Maybe. The city buzzes with rumors. A fire at a factory. A scandal involving a parliament man and an actress from the East End. Another brothel shut down. Girls taken to Magdalene homes. You hear all this in fragments from the newspaper boys, the laundryman, the customers too drunk to keep their voices low. One of the girls disappears. Not Clara, not Dot. A redhead named Liza. She left her boots behind. That's all anyone says. No note, no shouting. Just an absence, and you ask the madam where she went. The madam looks past you and says, she wasn't bringing in enough, and then, you still are. You leave the room with your fists clenched. That night you bleed again. Worse than before. Thick, hot, clotted. You wake to the pain and can't stand for a moment. You double over, biting your sleeve. No one hears, or if they do, they don't come. You think about stopping, about giving in. Just one more visit to the doctor, one more round of powders, one more month. But you shake your head in the dark. No more. You wrap the towel tighter, clean yourself, light the candle. You whisper your name aloud, your real name, just once. It sounds strange, but right. The next evening, Dot pulls you aside. I'm going, she says. You nod, heart pounding. When tonight, you both know you can't go together. Too risky. Two girls vanish in one night, the madam would never forgive that. She'd send someone looking. Maybe worse. So Dot goes first. She waits until the house is full, voices rising, boots thudding on the stair piano off-key in the parlor. You watch her slip through the servant's entrance, boots, laced bundle tight under her arm. She doesn't look back. You stare at the empty doorway long after it closes. And now you're alone. No Clara, no Dot. Just you. And the clock ticking fast on the mantel like it knows what you're about to do. You don't sleep that night. Not because you're scared, though you are, but because everything feels sharp, alive. Every creak of the house, every gust through the chimney, every low groan of pipes feels like it's moving through your skin. You lie awake staring at the ceiling, counting the tiny cracks you've memorized by heart. 15. Always 15. You rise before the lamps are lit. The parlor is dark. The hearth has gone cold. The hallway smells of damp fabric and faded perfume. You wash your face with icy water, dress, slowly tuck your bundle tight under your arm. You lace your boots carefully, fingers trembling, not from fear, but anticipation. You've waited long enough. Dot's absence was noted by morning, but barely. The madam blamed the storm. Some girls aren't made for winter, she said. No one questioned it. The other girls just looked at their plates, too tired to speak. You don't correct her. You spend the day working as usual, folding linens, blacking boots, sweeping ash from the stairwell. But inside something's changed. You are here but not here. A ghost already halfway gone. You eat your supper. You thank the cook. You kiss the air near the madam's cheek when she passes you in the hallway. You smile at the piano girl who is playing too fast. You even take a customer upstairs, just one. You move through the motions, voice soft, expression blank. He doesn't notice. They rarely do. When he leaves, you don't clean up. You sit on the edge of the bed and listen to the city breathing beyond the window. The rain has stopped. The alley is slick with puddles, but quiet. You unwrap your bundle. Inside is everything you own. 3 pence, 1 gold coin, 2 worn shifts, a comb with missing teeth, and the handkerchief with your real name inked across the fabric in a shaky hand. You press it to your lips. The hour creeps forward. You wait for the bakery boy. You've timed it to the second. At 4:30, the first light of day begins to smudge the edges of the sky. The alley glimmers faintly with reflected gaslight. You watch from the kitchen as the bakery boy lugs his basket up the steps and props open the door. Your heart pounds. This is it. You move. Quietly, steadily, 1 foot, then the other. The corridor blurs. The door creaks faintly. Your boots hit the wet cobblestone. The boy doesn't notice you slip past, and just like that, you're in the alley, alone. For the first time in how long, shucks, months, you don't know. You don't stop to think. You walk, past the iron fence, past the gas lamp with its cracked glass, past the tavern where the drunk men shout. You pull your shawl over your head and move quickly, one hand pressed against your ribs where it still hurts to breathe. The city unfolds in strange new shapes. You've only seen it at night or through narrow windows or behind the veil of your own exhaustion. Now it looks different. The buildings lean at odd angles. The cobblestones glisten. A cart rumbles past, full of coal. You nod at the driver. He doesn't look twice. You keep going. You pass a newspaper boy setting up his stall. He yawns and lights a lantern. You catch the headlines, "Scandal at the Docks Factory. Fire kills 8 girls rescued from vice den." You glance away. A woman pushes past you with a basket on her hip. She smells of onions and wet wool. She mutters something. You keep walking. The train station appears like a dream. You weren't sure it would be real until you saw it. The great iron ribs of the roof, the steam rising in clouds, the clatter of shoes and trunks. You step onto the platform and pause, chest tight. You've never bought a ticket before. You walk to the window. The man behind the glass looks at you with mild boredom. You ask for the cheapest fare going anywhere far. You slide the gold coin beneath the glass. His eyes flicker, but he doesn't question it. He slides a paper toward you and says, "Platform 3, leaves in 20. You take the ticket in both hands. Your hands are shaking. You don't have a plan beyond this. Just the ticket. And the thought that anything is better than the house. You find the bench near platform 3 and sit. You pull your shawl tighter. You wait. And for the first time in longer than you can remember, you feel the world turning. Not just around you, but with you. You almost miss the train. Not because you're late, but because your feet don't want to move. After everything, after all the planning, the saving, the waiting, now that it's here, you're frozen. The ticket is damp in your palm. The bench beneath you is cold and slick with mist. Your bundle feels heavier than it should. A bell chimes. A whistle cuts through the air. People begin to move. You stand. Not because you're ready, just because you know if you don't now, you never will. The train looms before you, black iron hissing with steam, its carriages lined up like a promise. You step forward. A porter glances at your bundle but says nothing. You climb aboard, your boots thudding against the metal steps. Inside the carriage is almost empty. Wooden benches, the scent of coal and damp wool. You sit near the window, clutching your bag. The train lurches once, then groans into motion. You exhale. The brothel is behind you now, somewhere in the fog behind walls that no longer have claim to your body. You picture the parlor, the staircase, the madam's glass of brandy left half full. She'll find your empty bed at dawn. She'll know you're gone. But by then, it won't matter. You lean your forehead against the window and watch the city peel away. The soot-dark rooftops, the laundry lines heavy with rags, the gas lights flickering like they're whispering farewell. The further you go, the more the houses thin out. Brick turns to fieldstone. Streets turn to muddy tracks. Factories become hedgerows and wet pasture. You let your mind wander. To Dot. You hope she made it. You imagine her on some other train, or maybe in a seaside town, hawking ribbons at a market stall, breathing air that doesn't taste like fire and iron. You hope she thinks of you just once and smiles. You open your bundle and pull out the handkerchief. Your name stares back at you in crooked letters. You trace each one with your finger. You mouth it slowly. It feels strange on your tongue, like a memory of something almost lost. You don't know what to expect at the end of the line. You chose the ticket at random, whatever coin would buy. It might be a town no better than the one you left. Might be more soot, more doors that close too fast, more cold mornings and calloused hands. But even if it is, it's yours. The woman across from you adjusts her shawl and gives you a polite nod. You nod back. She doesn't ask questions, doesn't look at your bruises, doesn't seem to notice the weariness in your posture. For once, you are not being measured, not being catalogued. You are just a girl on a train. You rest your head against the window. The rhythm of the tracks lulls you. The click-clack, steady, soft, like a lullaby hummed through the bones of the carriage. You sleep, and when you wake, it's to sunlight. Real sunlight. Not the sickly glow of a gas lamp or the slant of late dusk through sooty curtains. The sky outside is wide and pale blue. Trees blur past the window. The carriage has filled women in aprons, men with scuffed boots, a child snoring softly with his head against his mother's arm. You sit straighter. You rub your eyes. The ache in your body is still there, but quieter, no longer urgent. Your thoughts feel lighter, clearer. For the first time in what feels like years, you're not bracing for a knock on the door or the snap of fingers or the weight of someone else's need pressing into your bones. You are alone and free. You breathe in through your nose and smell earth. Not perfume, not brandy, just damp earth and wool and metal. The train begins to slow. You gather your things, bundle ticket name. You step off when the wheels finally hiss to a stop. The platform is small. The air is sharp. Somewhere nearby, a horse snorts. A dog barks. The town is just beyond a single street, a church spire, the faint clang of an iron bell. You don't know where to go, but that's the point. For once, no one else gets to decide. You walk slowly through the new town. Each step feels like a question. Every corner, every brick, every stranger's glance offers a path you've never taken. You keep your bundle tucked close beneath your arm, your shoulders high, your chin low. You're not used to walking without watching your back. You're not used to being unaccompanied and unpossessed. The town is small, just a scatter of buildings hugging a main road. There's a greengrocer, a smithy, a chapel with chipped whitewash, and a tea shop with lace in the windows. Nothing grand, nothing threatening, just quiet. You pass a woman sweeping her stoop. She looks at you with narrowed eyes, then offers a slow nod. You nod back. It's the first kindness of the day. You find a bench near the bakery and sit. Your legs ache. Your boots pinch. But you made it. You made it. It hits you all at once like cold water down the back. You're not in that house anymore. You're not waiting for someone to call your name or send you upstairs. You're not hiding bruises or counting coins in secret. You sit in the open with the sky above and strangers passing, and no one knowing what you've done to survive. You could cry, but you don't. There are no tears left. Just breath. Just the warmth of bread baking. Just the weight of your bundle on your lap, and the crumple of the ticket still in your pocket. You stay on that bench until the bells ring out from the church. Noon. The town starts to shift. A man with flour on his apron sets out loaves in the window. Two boys chase each other past the pump. A woman calls from a doorway for her daughter. Everything here moves slower. Nothing snaps or shouts or leers. You watch. You breathe. And then you stand. You wander until you find the notice board. It's crooked, hammered to the side of a post office. Pinned to it are papers curling at the corners, rooms for rent, help, wanted sermons, gossip. One ad catches your eye, housekeeper wanted. Modest lodging, weekly pay, no questions asked. You read it 3 times, then a 4th. The address is only a few streets away. You fold the corner and start walking. The cottage is plain. Ivy creeping up the side chimney, leaning like it's listening. A woman answers the door. Middle-aged, apron, gray curls escaping a bun. She eyes you carefully. You hand her the ad. She reads it, then looks at you again. You wait. And finally she says, "You're small. That'll help with the fireplace." She steps aside. That's it. No interrogation. No paperwork. No examination of your hands or eyes or the scars beneath your collar. You spend that first evening learning the stove. It's temperamental but manageable. You peel potatoes, sweep the back room, scrub the hearth. You work quietly, shoulders tense, waiting for a raised voice that never comes. At supper, she places a plate in front of you. Bread, stew, a whole potato not yet gray. You eat slowly. You sleep that night in a narrow bed in the attic. The mattress is lumpy, the blanket thin, but it's yours. No footsteps overhead. No doors creaking open. No breathing that isn't your own. You dream, but not of the house. You dream of the sea, of waves rolling over your feet, and the sound of gulls calling from far off. You wake warm for the first time in a long time. The next few days fall into rhythm. You chop kindling. You carry pails of water. You scrub windows until your fingers ache. It's hard work, but honest. There's no need to smile unless you want to. No need to hide behind powder or hold your breath when a man walks into the room. One evening, the woman you work for sits beside the hearth with a mending basket and says, "You're quieter than most girls." You shrug. She doesn't push. She just passes you a needle and says, "Help me with this seam, will you?" You take it. The thread is thick and gray. You stitch slowly, carefully. Not because you need to, but because it matters. You finish the seam and look up at her, and she says nothing, just smiles. And in that moment, you realize something strange. You're not afraid. Not completely. Not anymore. You still flinch at sudden noises. You still brace when someone stands too close. But it's less sharp now, less consuming. The ghosts are still with you, but they're quiet. For now. You step outside before bed and breathe in the night air. Cool, clean, no smoke, no perfume, just the scent of wet earth and wood smoke. You hold the handkerchief in your pocket and press your fingers to your name. This place may not be forever, but tonight it is enough. Spring arrives before you realize it. Not in a grand way, no sudden bloom of flowers or warmth that chases away all shadows. Just the slow retreat of frost from windowsills. The quiet disappearance of your breath in the morning air. The puddles dry faster now. You can walk without slipping. You find yourself stepping out earlier, standing in patches of sun like a cat, letting it settle into your skin. You wear your old dress still, but you've stitched it up properly now. You mended the hem, let out the seams, added a new collar from a scrap the woman let you take from the basket. She complimented the work, said, "You've got clever hands." You nodded. You didn't say those same hands used to hold razors for protection or curl tight into fists under blankets while waiting for footsteps. There's no need to say everything out loud anymore. You've taken to helping in the garden. There isn't much of one, just a rectangle of soil behind the cottage and a few pots near the door. But it's enough. You plant onions, radishes, little herbs you can't name but know will smell good, crushed between your fingers. The first time you dig your hands into the earth, you pause. It's strange to feel something that gives instead of takes. You stay out there until dusk, knees, muddy fingers, caked jaw unclenched. That night, you sleep dreamless. Weeks pass. You begin to speak more. Simple things. Need more coal. I've done the washing. The kettle's boiled. But the woman doesn't mind the quiet. She seems to prefer it. You never ask her story. She never asks yours. You share silence comfortably now. Over bread. Over laundry lines. Over tea when the rain starts tapping at the windows. You begin to save again. Not in fear, not out of desperation, but with purpose. Quiet coins collected in a tin beneath the floorboard. No one asks where it came from. You tell yourself it's not running money this time. It's staying money. You haven't thought about the brothel in days. Then one morning you see a newspaper fluttering on the road. You pick it up, smooth the damp edges, and read the headline. Fire destroys East End boarding house. 5 feared dead. There's no address, no names, just a grainy sketch of flames licking the sky and a column of speculation. You don't know if it was yours, if it's still standing, if the madam made it out, if Dot ever walked past those doors again. But you fold the paper gently and place it in the stove without lighting it. You sit for a moment watching the gray sky outside the window and say nothing. That night you pull out the handkerchief again. The name is fading. You retrace it carefully with a stub of pencil. It's clumsy, but it stays. That's all that matters. The ache in your bones hasn't vanished. You still wake some mornings with a tightness in your chest, as if you've been holding your breath all night. But it passes faster now. Your body has become your own again, slowly, shyly. There's a mirror in the cottage hallway, small with cloudy glass and a frame made of driftwood. You rarely look in mirrors anymore, but today you pause. You don't recognize the girl entirely, but you don't flinch. Your eyes aren't ringed with charcoal. Your mouth is no longer painted red. You look tired but not hollow. There is a softness returning. You keep working. You begin to hum again. Sometimes when you wash the floor. Sometimes when you stir stew over the stove. Little tunes that rise from your throat without permission, faint, uneven, but whole. One afternoon, the woman offers you a coat. Not new, not even clean, but warm. She says she doesn't wear it anymore. You put it on and feel the weight of it around your shoulders. It feels like safety. You wear it to the market, and no one stares. You carry your own basket. You speak to the butcher. You choose your own apples. You stand among people and feel not invisible but present. When you return, you sit on the stoop and let the sun find your face. You close your eyes and tilt your head back. And for the first time in years, you don't think about the next customer. You think about tomorrow. Let me know when you're ready for section 15, the final section, before the 300-word wind down. Summer arrives like a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding. The sun climbs higher each day, and for once you welcome the heat. You roll up your sleeves and let it warm your arms as you scrub linens in the back garden. The air smells of soap and thyme. Bees hover lazily near the hedge. You learn the names of plants. You learn which ones heal, which ones flavor stew, and which ones can be made into tea that helps you sleep. You no longer sleep with one eye open. The attic window lets in the morning bird song, and you wake slowly, the ache in your stomach no longer hunger, but a gentle call toward the kitchen. Your body, after years of bracing and flinching, begins to settle into itself. You gain weight just a little, just enough to round your face and soften your elbows. No one touches you without asking. No one calls your name in a way that makes your stomach tighten. In the evenings, you sit by the door with your hands in your lap, not waiting, not fearing, just sitting. Sometimes you mend. Sometimes you write small notes on scraps of paper and tuck them under your pillow. Messages to no one. Messages to yourself. They say things like, "You are here," or "You are safe," or "You are more than what they did." One day, a letter arrives for the woman you work for. She reads it silently at the table, folds it neatly, and sets it beside her bread. She looks at you and says, "I'm going away for a while." You nod. You don't ask where. She says, "I'll leave the key with you." You stare at her. The house, she says gently, is yours until I come back. If I come back. It's not a gift. It's a passing of trust. You accept it. That night you light every candle in the cottage, one in each window, two on the mantel. You open the door and let the warm air in. The sky outside is a deep velvet blue, stars winking like distant lanterns. You breathe in chest full and then slowly out. You think about writing to someone. There's no one to send it to, but still, you sit at the small table by the hearth and dip a pen in ink. You write your name, your real name, at the top of the page. It doesn't feel strange anymore. It fits. Then you begin. I once lived in a house where the windows never opened, where the floors whispered at night, where we learned to hide our joy and survive our shame. You pause, and then you keep writing. Not to explain, not to confess, just to remember. You describe the creak of the stairwell, the scent of cheap soap, the weight of silence, the way Dot looked at you that last night. You write it all down like it matters because it does. You don't finish the letter. Not yet. But you fold it gently and place it beneath the broken comb in your drawer. And for the first time in your life, you understand that healing is not sudden. It's slow, uneven, sometimes invisible. But it's here, and it's yours. You lie down in your narrow bed beneath the rafters. The candle burns low on the table beside you, flickering soft shadows across the wooden beams. The room is quiet, the kind of quiet that isn't lonely, just still. The floor beneath you doesn't creak. No footsteps in the hallway. No doors opening. Just the soft hush of wind brushing against the window pane and the slow rhythm of your breath. You shift beneath the quilt, warm and a little heavy. The fabric smells faintly of lavender and something earthy, something clean. Your muscles ease one by one. Your jaw unclenches. Your hands fall open at your sides. There's nothing you have to brace against now. No voice waiting to summon you. No demand for your smile. No bargain made in silence. The night outside is deep. It holds no threats, no shadows shaped like men. Just starlight and distance. You let it all go, the noise, the ache, the years you carried without knowing their weight. You've crossed through fire and fog and come out changed. Not untouched, but still whole. Still here. You press your cheek to the pillow and close your eyes. You breathe in deeply, and then you let yourself rest, because the door is closed, because the room is warm, because you are safe now, and the world outside can wait.